the Grey Havens Hour, a channel for those who love Tolkien's world and long to glimpse the deeper beauty beneath its tales. Welcome back to the Grey Havens Hour, where we walk quietly through the deep roots and quiet truths of Tolkien's world. Today, we return to a battlefield that shaped them all. Not one of Middle-earth's, but one of our own. Because every sword stroke in Tolkien's legendarium, every whisper of courage in the dark, echoes the mud and madness of the Somme. In 1916, a young lieutenant named John Ronald Reuel Tolkien crawled through the trenches of northern France. He saw friends fall, nations shatter, and faith tested by fire. Later he wrote simply, "By 1918, all but one of my close friends were dead." He came home carrying something invisible. Not just grief, but the question, can anything good grow again after such ruin? That question became Middle-earth. Today, we'll trace the battles that rose from that wound. Helm's Deep, courage without glory. Minas Tirith, the weight of command. The Dead Marshes, memory that won't die. Mordor, the machine of war. And the Battle of the Five Armies, Tolkien's first vision of conflict. And finally, the healing of the Shire. The Somme was not a story, it was a furnace. Tolkien served as a signals officer amid constant shellfire, until trench fever pulled him from the front. He saw courage, yes, but courage wasted by pride, by machinery, by blindness, and that experience burned itself into his legendarium. The burnt hand teaches most about fire. The blackened landscapes of the Dead Marshes, the choking air of Mordor, the weary march of Frodo and Sam. These were not invented from nothing. They were memories transformed, pity growing from pain. Tolkien called history a long defeat, but even amid defeat, he believed in the possibility of grace. Helm's Deep is not written as a tale of triumph. It is a night of exhaustion, of farmers and old men standing shoulder to shoulder against a storm they cannot stop. Courage is found in unlikely hearts. This is not the rhetoric of empire, it's the realism of a soldier. No glamour, no speeches, only endurance. It mirrors those nights in the trenches where victory meant surviving until dawn. Tolkien's courage is never the will to destroy, it is the will to defend, to hold a light when the darkness is absolute. In Gondor, we meet two kinds of leadership. Denethor, proud, broken by despair, and Aragorn, humble, patient, a healer before he is a king. The hands of a king are the hands of a healer. Tolkien, who despised the worship of power, draws here at the lesson he learned in war. Command without compassion becomes ruin. True kingship, like true leadership, serves rather than rules. In letter 183, he wrote that the good ruler seeks not his own glory, but the good of all. It is the opposite of the will to dominate, the moral inversion of Sauron's creed. Frodo, Sam and Gollum creep through the Dead Marshes, and there they see the drowned faces of ancient warriors, pale beneath the water. There are the dead faces in the water, deep, deep under the dark water. Tolkien himself confirmed the source. The Dead Marshes owe something to northern France after the Battle of the Somme. Those pools of rain-filled craters where bodies lay half-submerged became myth. For Tolkien, memory itself was a haunting landscape. War does not end when the guns fall silent. It seeps into the soil and into the soul. The evil of Mordor is not just hatred, it is mechanization. Tolkien wrote, "The machine is our chief temptation, the desire for power by devices." Factories, forges and furnaces, it is industrialized death. The black smoke of Mount Doom recalls the factories and artillery that scarred Europe. And yet within this Inferno walk two small figures, weary, ordinary, unharmed. Their endurance, not their power, undoes the darkness. This is Tolkien's ultimate reversal of modern war, victory through humility. Long before Mordor, Tolkien had already imagined a battlefield, in The Hobbit. The Battle of Five Armies is his earliest portrait of conflict, elves, dwarves and men uniting against a great evil. But beneath the banners lies sorrow. Bilbo wakes amid the ruin and says, "Victory after all, I suppose. Well, it seems a very gloomy business." Thorin's dying words reveal Tolkien's creed. If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. Not glory, not conquest, only a bittersweet peace. This was written before The Lord of the Rings, but already it carries the moral of all his wars, that mercy outlives might. At the end, war comes home. The hobbits return to a Shire marred by smoke and tyranny. Tolkien called this chapter the most essential part of the book. The Shire has been saved, but not for me. It is the voice of a veteran. Home survives, but innocence does not. Tolkien wrote that even victory leaves scars, yet the work of healing still matters. The hobbits rebuild, quietly, faithfully, proving that gentleness is the last act of heroism. I do not expect history to be anything but a long defeat, though it contains glimpses of final victory. He never promised triumph, only renewal. The fading of the elves, the weariness of Frodo, the slow healing of the world, these are not despair, but realism suffused with grace. Through every defeat, Tolkien saw what he called new catastrophe, the sudden turn towards joy that no power can plan. And as Frodo sails west, we hear the last echo of that hope, white shores and beyond, a far green country under a swift sunrise. That line is his peace, the dream of rest after ruin. Tolkien never glorified war, he transfigured it. Through mud and grief he wrought myth, turning horror into meaning and loss into light. Because he knew what every soldier learns, that the small act of mercy is stronger than any weapon. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Thank you for joining us again for this reflection on the Greyhaven's Hour. If these words stirred something in you, if you've ever carried your own battles quietly, share this story and walk with us again. Until next time, may your courage always serve mercy and may you find your own green country beyond the dark.